Gilgeous-Alexander. McCollum staying with him. Spins, gets inside. Left-handed off the glass. Oh, what a sweet move.
Giddey, tough spot. Backdoor. What a pass. What a play. And J-Dub picks the pocket of Trae Young. He'll take it himself.
This is Dart. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Uncontested Weekly Show, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and DailyThunder.com. I'm your host on this Wednesday evening, JD Silva, joined by three fellas. The first one being Taylor Peterson.
I, too, am on the second night of a back-to-back and just hoping to bring that energy like the Thunder did in the fourth.
The next one being Jacob Niffen.
What's up?
And the third being Nick Pivot Table Crane.
It's become a hobby of mine to listen to opposing broadcasts and realize how they don't watch a single minute of the team that is coming into town to play them. It's hilarious. It really is.
Yeah. They just it's recycled takes and it is wild.
You want to hear my favorite?
Yes, please.
Late
tonight?
Yeah,
I'm curious.
late in the fourth quarter, the Hawks broadcast says, surely SGA's in the MVP conversation after this one. Brother,
Oh my God.
I don't know.
you're a little late to the party.
Yeah. We had that discussion.
Could
a month
SGA
and a
be
half.
an all-star this year?
Wrong year. It's 2024. Catch up broadcast. Before we get totally into this show, we have a lot to talk about, as I'm sure everyone in the live stream knows. Be sure to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating. Come hang out with us in the live stream during shows. Leave comments on the YouTube. We also have a survey we're sending around. That Jacob, do you want to throw that? Are we throwing that in the comments?
I got in the comments right now, baby.
Oh,
Wow.
quick, Jacob. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
we
was
just
searching
wanna-
for it.
We want to hear from our fans about what you like, what you may not like. You know, get some data in 2024. Give us your data. That's the purpose of this, right, Jacob?
We will also drop the survey in the pod description on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that. So if you don't watch the live stream and you listen to the podcast version, you can find the survey there as well. It's just a simple Google form. If you'll go on there, fill it out, make sure that you put that Jacob Niffen as your favorite Uncontested Podcast host. And we would appreciate it very much.
No, he's kidding. There's a box to check at the beginning that says you'll be fully honest.
But hey, it's the new year. First group pod of the new year.
First group pod since a while, it feels like.
It does
Yeah.
feel like a while. We had like 2 holidays, I think, since the last one, maybe. Or was there a random Wednesday in there? I don't know. Thanks to all of our
I think
listeners
so.
for another year in the books. Another really good year, if I may say so myself. For the Thunder, at least. Maybe not for myself. I guess we should,
Smoot.
yeah. I guess we should start talking about a couple of games. One of them just ended about 10 minutes ago. Thunder versus Hawks. The road Sega Baba. And it was the Thunder were clearly exhausted for this one. They have, after some travel delays, it looked like they showed up after 4 a.m. in Atlanta after playing arguably the best team in the NBA in the Celtics the night before. I'm actually bringing up the final score to this one, unless one of you guys has it in front of you.
141 to 138. Thunder made a late push there in the fourth quarter, which was incredibly impressive. As Silva and I were just setting up for the podcast and not watching. So apparently we shouldn't have watched the entirety of the game, Silva.
Yeah, we were the problem. But the Thunder started out very obviously sluggish. The Hawks, who have been off since Sunday, kept throwing punches. Trae Young did his Trae Young thing tonight in general. We all know what that means. Michael Cage kept discussing that. A dude was dejected at certain points in this game watching Trae Young shoot free throws. 141, 130 on a Sega Baba. Honestly, the game did not feel this close to me most of the time. 141 to 138 seems so unlikely. I did start setting up my podcast stuff because I was like, well, this one is pretty much over. And I saw our group chat going off, and what? You guys hear that? Okay, that's good. A video started playing on my other monitor here, and that's good. Second night of back-to-back, another L. or an L after an incredible game. I don't really want to spend a ton of time on this Hawks game, but to go through it quickly, do you all have any major takeaways from this Sega Baba?
I'll kick it off. Two things for me. Number one, defense. Like Nick posted on Twitter multiple times tonight and in our private chat. Offense wasn't the issue. You put up 138 on the second night of a back-to-back. The Hawks defense sucks. Like scoring the ball wasn't the problem. Getting stops was. The team looked tired. They looked slow and they fouled a lot. Free throws were a huge factor in this one. The Thunder gave the Hawks 33 free throw attempts. And shout out to the Hawks for hitting them, 31 of 33. When you look at the quarter-by-quarter breakdown of this one, guys, Thunder lose the first quarter 25 to 39. That's 14-point difference in the first quarter. They lose the second quarter by 3, win the third quarter by 4, win the fourth quarter by 10. You take away the incredibly awful start where they dug themselves, I believe, in an 11-0 hole to start the game. And this is an even basketball game the rest of the way. They fought back, which you love to see. Had what I thought was a great ATO there at the end, drawn up by Mark Daignault to get Isaiah Joe a great look in the corner from 3 to tie it. But I think tired legs, it's not an excuse. Like every team plays back-to-backs, right? You have to come out with more juice than that. But that first quarter is really what sunk them, because quarters 2 through 4, I thought they played fine.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway is whether you're a fan, whether you're someone that covers the team, I would encourage you not to, on the positive side, boast this is the youngest team in the league, and then when they lose, use that as a crutch. Whenever they win tough stretches, saying, oh my gosh, how are they doing this? Then they lose a tough stretch, saying the world is falling. Like, keep it consistent. This is a team that's going to, like, this is the month of January. Like, you hope that this doesn't keep happening. You got 5 second night of back-to-backs coming up this month, a super jam-packed schedule, a lot of fatigues on the way. This is like, this energy, we'll see what it looks like in about 2 weeks. So I don't have a whole lot of takes on this game specifically. Like Jacob said, it was defense. It wasn't offense. I don't expect that to be the case the rest of the month, but it is going to be super damn tough.
I agree. I think one thing that Jacob and I were talking about, texting in the group Slack, was the free throw discrepancy. Obviously, that kind of started to even out towards the end of the game. Like Jacob mentioned, 26 free throw attempts for the Thunder compared to the Hawks 33. But man, it felt like the Hawks got some very generous foul calls, and that's not a cop-out. That's not the sole reason they lost this game. I always feel like a homer when I mention the refs, but that's 2 straight games now where 31 points off free throw attempts for the Hawks. That right there will do it for you, especially on the second night of back-to-back with tired legs.
Speaking of free throws, Nick had a stat on this. And now Nick's just going to stare.
I thought you had it pulled up and you were going to read it or something.
No.
Nick, tell us your stat.
That's what we call setting somebody up in the business, Nick.
He was throwing you the law, but we're also tired on the second night of a back-to-back. Our lobs are not quite as crisp.
Basically, I mean, the discrepancies probably, I don't know if it's bigger, probably it's a little bit smaller. Oklahoma City got some calls on the stretch, but late in the game, I looked back at like the last 7 games, including this one. Thunder had shot 113 free throws. Opponents had shot 170. I'm not doing math on the show, but that's like 57 more free throws in 7 games. That's a lot. And whenever the Thunder were down 12 with, I think it was like 9 minutes left, both teams had the same number of field goals made. Oklahoma City was actually shooting a better percentage from 3 and just a hair lower from the floor overall. Basically meaning, when it came to buckets, the 2 teams were even, right? Free throws were the difference. They were down 12. It was a 12 free throw discrepancy. That was another big difference in this one tonight.
The 113 to 170, I didn't teach math, Nick, but I believe that's pretty close to like 60% of what your opponent is shooting, so as far as attempts.
It's significant. It really is.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
It is a big number. I also think, JD, that we have to mention, was this Chet's worst game as a pro?
I was actually thinking that while watching it, because even if Chet has maybe had worse box score lines than he had tonight, but tonight did look like his worst game. I think he was likely very affected by a road back-to-back in this way, playing just out of character, sloppy, turning the ball over. Shot 2 of 5 from 3, 5 of 9 from the field, had 12 points, no blocks, no steals, 1 assist, 4 turnovers. That's the biggest number to me here because he's always so disciplined, and that he so clearly was not tonight. And I'm sure some of that is fatigue, but can't totally excuse it. You have to, like you said earlier, you have to tighten that stuff up, even if you're the youngest team in the league.
One other thing I was thinking about tonight's game before we move on is, Jacob actually tweeted this out, and I was in full agreement. I kind of expected a little more deeper bench rotation. Kind of thought we might see like a Micic, Lindy Waters, Cason Wallace, Jay Will, that kind of lineup. That wasn't the case at all. Really, the only player who hasn't really been in the rotation that played tonight was Lindy Waters. Looking at the minutes, he had 20 minutes off the bench. Wiggins had 21. They led the team off the bench in minutes behind Cason Wallace with 19. Josh Giddey only with 22 minutes tonight. Again, very much a second night of a back-to-back kind of lineup and rotation. I just expected a little more of a deeper bench rotation, as much as Mark has been preaching, like January is such a tough month. We need these guys to be able to come off the bench and engage. And like always thought tonight was Lindy Waters. Lindy didn't necessarily play bad. There was defense lapses at times. He hit a couple big threes, but like I just kind of found it interesting.
Apply to all 11 guys who got minutes.
Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of found that a little interesting. I thought we might see maybe even a Bertans, or I guess Oos is on assignment with the blue, but it was really just Lindy Waters tonight was the only wrinkle in that rotation on the second night of a back-to-back. And I just kind of found that interesting. I'm curious your guys' thoughts.
Where was Kenrich Williams? Was anything reported there before that I maybe missed, or he just didn't
got
play?
rest on the
rest
on the Sega Baba.
Yeah.
Rest on the Sega Baba.
He's an old
JD,
man these days. He's 29, which I will be here soon. And us 29-year-olds got to get our rest.
Bones hurt the next day.
That's right. I did find that interesting. It's not like he's like a Davis Bertans. Hey, that's Anthony Davis, right, Silva?
It is.
Bones hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other like major takeaways from this game besides how in the hell do you mess up who's got which foul and then take 10 minutes out of a game to sit there and Zapruder film the damn first half? What are we doing? It's not like they call a foul like foul, shake. No, they hold up the number of the player. 2, 6, 8. Like, son of a bitch, can you not read fingers? Read this one. What are we doing? That blew my mind. Someone needs to get fired.
Yeah, that was horrific. And the Thunder had just gone on a big run there, right? To start the third quarter. If they paused play for 10 minutes.
They were trying to kill the run.
That's right. Well, meanwhile, one of the refs is over there chatting it up and high-fiving and being bros, hanging out with the Hawks bench.
I saw that. That was so strange.
It is a conspiracy.
Yeah, really strange game. The delay.
Kyrie Irving was onto something.
Kyrie was right.
All right, I had to get some energy in the pod. I'm done now.
Whenever Jacob gets into that tone of voice, you're in for a treat.
I think the last time I went off like that was Zumba halftime.
Zumba.
It was
right.
Yep. And that was also just as memorable. This time we got the bird. If you guys aren't watching the live stream, watch the live stream. You missed out on the bird to the audience. It's wonderful. What else? I was seeing how many jokes I could crack about how long that review was taking. I was like, I started reading The Art of War. Will this game be longer than Oppenheimer? I don't know.
Man,
that was great.
At one point when they kept walking back and forth, I was like, does somebody have COVID? Do we have a patient 0 again? Like, what's going on here?
I tweeted out, are
we going to make a mini documentary over this? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Ready to turn the page on that game. But,
Zach Zarba, right? He was the ref tonight? Zach Zarba?
Couldn't tell you.
Could be.
We're not going to call it the Zapruder film anymore. We're going to call it the Zarba film now.
DeJounte Murray seems to know a lot of Thunder players. I was noticing that. He was chatting up almost all the starters, quite a bit.
What was he saying, Nick? Wrong answers only.
Ooh, Nick, the lip reader.
Good grief. I got like an audio bug on him. I'm just like listening to the whole game.
No, I just want you to make up something that's funny.
Well, they were also doing this thing.
Fools.
They were doing this.
Yeah, they were
putting their
Weird.
Hey, get me off this sinking ship, please.
Get me off this team, please.
As he's cooking them.
Yeah, he did play really well tonight.
Yeah. Well, you guys want to talk about the game that was a lot more fun from yesterday?
Let's do that.
Holy shit, everybody. The Thunder beat the Celtics yesterday.
Great transition.
Hey, yo.
We are back.
And we're out of that horrible, stinky Hawks game we saw. I was at that game. Just to open
Same.
this up quick. I was at that game with my friend who's a Celtics fan, so that was fun. But the environment.
Was he the Celtics fan that was behind me talking all kinds of trash and then
That's what I was
whenever the
about to
ass
ask.
whooping started?
No.
And then
he
left.
was pretty,
Left
he was
early.
pretty crestfallen for most of the night. Not saying much. Poor bastard. But being in that arena, that was since the last playoff game I went to, which God knows when that was. I have no idea. 2018, 19, I don't know. That was the loudest and most into it the crowd has been, I think, because the Thunder, after beating the Nuggets and the Timberwolves convincingly the week before, kind of beat up the Celtics for almost 4 full quarters until some things happened near the end. The game got crazy competitive because the Celtics are very, very good and contenders for a reason. But my God, what a win. It's a lot to dissect from the game and from narratives that have popped up afterwards and have been enforced. Where do you guys want to start from this?
Gosh, I mean, today, it was like 6, 7 national media podcasts that popped up, and everybody's talking about the Thunder contenders, the same exact topic per usual. Thought that was fascinating. I did listen to a majority of them, as I know we all did. But I just kind of quick aside, thought that was funny.
Silva, I would double down with your statement on the most energetic crowd since a playoff game. There's been some good crowds, but that one took the cake. And there were a decent amount of Celtics fans in the arena. At least where I was sitting, there was a decent amount. And whenever they started to talk, like Thunder fans got louder. And it was kind of like that. They fed off of each other.
Yeah.
And it made for a great environment. I shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder fans who have shown out this season. Paycom has been packed, even though 90% of people in Oklahoma City can't watch the damn games because of Bally Sports. They still show up. They're showing out. We've talked a lot about it's palpable. Like the return of the fan base and the energy that comes with it. It's a special team, a special season, and people are showing up for it, and it's awesome to see.
Even after the game, people chanting "Let's go Thunder" out on the concourse and outside. Someone drove by. I was in a crowd walking back to my car, and someone drove by with clearly their flashlight and recording from their phone, just cheering and trying to get a reaction out of everyone that was out. That was
Taylor.
Oh, hey Taylor.
Just going around Reno Drive, trying to fire up the fan base, doing what I can.
Trying to get into Dave's Hot Chicken again. But yeah, the crowd is back, to say the least.
It was awesome. Nick, do you have any basketball takes?
First thought is Squirtle's upset tonight. He's
yeah, he's in the Pokebox, right? He's not in the starting six.
Box.
What the hell is a Pokebox?
He's in storage. They put him in storage.
Yeah, the storage, right? It's called a box. Pokebox.
The box.
It's a Pokeball.
Well,
the
yeah,
ball
but you also
in the
have the box, and they call it the PC. Come on, guys. You guys even Pokemon?
Nick, you and I are on the same page.
Complete the Pokedex, put him in the box. It's that simple.
Good grief.
But to put him in the box.
Thank you, Silva.
So we got the same shirt on, Taylor.
Back to the Celtics game. I don't know. I think that Boston gets a lot of credit for their perimeter defense, and deservedly so. And Shai cooked it. Chet,
All-star Derek White?
gosh, all-star Derek White. It's possible for a player to be really dang good and really dang impactful and not be an all-star. If you aggregated NBA Twitter and how many guys are all-stars, there would be 80 of them every year. It's like this guy's an all-star. And it's like, no, he's really damn good.
Just like Boney saying every single player is a projected lottery pick.
I would pay a lot of money if someone could like create some kind of like AI, you know, those bots on Twitter where
Yeah.
anytime someone calls someone an all-star, it automatically replies and says, name the players that he's better than, because that's always the thing. You can say this guy's all NBA level or all-star level. All right, well, name the 12 players that it's like, stop, idiots. No, Derek White's really good though. And Shai cooked him. Jaylen Brown didn't look great. Dub kind of had the better game over him. I know that's Silva's favorite comp is Dub and Jaylen Brown. I think it 2 nights ago showed the Thunder ceiling and they can get up and play anybody. I think tonight showed honestly what's their floor. Like that's the worst game they've had. Many players on the team had the worst game of the season. You just mentioned Chet. So I think that's kind of your measuring stick from a ceiling and a floor standpoint.
I think one big theme or one big player that we haven't talked about in that Celtics game that I touched on a little bit last night was Josh Giddey, who was just absolutely phenomenal. 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 8 of 14 from the field, but most importantly, 4 of 7 from 3. 4 of 7 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw line is what I was looking at. Thought Josh had a fantastic game. I thought the Thunder and Mark specifically did a really great job of just running different offensive sets to get Josh moving and not just have him stagnant in the corner when Porzingis, the primary defender on him, or the backup center, whoever may have been in those Celtics lineups. I thought Mark ran some very interesting wrinkles to be able to get him moving off ball. And then obviously when the Thunder are pushing the ball in transition and pushing the pace, that's when Josh is at his best. And we saw that really shine last night. I thought Josh was fantastic. I'm kind of curious your guys' thoughts after I talked about him last night.
He's been great. I mean, we've talked about, I feel like Nick and I have been leading the charge here on Josh turning the corner and like being a super impactful player. Lots of folks want should the Thunder trade for somebody? Should they not? Like the debate is already like annoying me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you like polled people who want the Thunder to make a trade, what should they do? It's either A, get a big, or B, go get a big wing. Well, guess what? The 6'9", 225-pounder on the team is starting to find his role again and starting to really shine. And that's the big wing you need right there. He's on the team, and he just turned 21. Is that right?
Yep.
Like just turned 21. That's the big wing you need. And he's really started to turn the corner here. I've been very impressed. I think it just took some recalibration as teams like guarded him differently and did different things. And I've told you guys, I think the biggest thing with Josh, really to me, since that Kings game on the road, he's just playing with a different level of confidence. Like there have been games where he's just got the swagger back. He seems more engaged. He's like more hyped up. You can see it with like these one-handed passes and some of these moves he's making. Maybe not my favorite play. There's a lot of them against the Celtics. But one play that was really encouraging to me was the ball got swung to Josh in the corner for a 3. Al Horford was on him, and Josh didn't settle. He drove in and he put his shoulder into Al Horford's chest, pushed him off, and then got the little runner. Like a lot of guys can't do that. Al Horford's a big dude. Al Horford might also be playing basketball and he's 55. That dude can like timeless.
Had a fast break yam.
He did. I didn't know he could still jump. That was impressive. But he like that play from Josh like showed me the confidence is back. Like he's wanting to be physical. He's wanting to get to the cup. I've been really impressed with Josh recently.
I've got a trivia question. You guys know I like to do these. 2 players on this team, okay? They've both, since December 1st, made the same amount of threes. One of them is shooting a hair under 43%. One of them shooting a hair under 35%. Who are the 2 players?
Josh is the first because I know that stat because I brought it up last night, I'm pretty sure. You guys want to guess next or you want me to?
I think Jacob said it before he froze.
I was going to say, Jacob, you just froze. Yeah, you
did.
Froze.
Isaiah Joe.
Yep.
That was maybe
Isaiah Joe.
Hey.
But seriously, 43% since December 1st, which is a 22-game sample size, mind you.
That's
and
pretty
on
insane.
3+ attempts. That's off the top of my head, Nick, but I think that's correct.
Yeah. This isn't some fluke. StatMuse loves the Julius Randle's averaged 30 and 12 since Christmas. And it's like, dog, it's been 2 games.
I've
Can't
had
say
enough
that.
of stat muse.
This is a 22-game sample, over a quarter of the season that he's shooting 43% from 3. I don't know if it'll last. I don't think it'll last. I think it'll regress. But if this dude's a 35% three-point shooter, gets out of his head a bit and doesn't have the careless turnovers, is a little more selective with when he shoots the ball, like this is a guy that is exactly what you'd want to trade for. You know, it's not a Donovan Mitchell or Pascal Siakam trade, but this like fringe trade, that's what it is.
100%.
I agree with that.
Couldn't agree more.
Let me turn this around on you 3 assholes, since I had to answer this before. Is the shooting from Josh and the offensive confidence, is it a mirage?
You're never going to let this one live down, are you?
No.
I don't think it is. Like, we play this game every year with multiple players on like, is it a turning of the corner or is it a hot streak? Is it a regression or is it a cold streak? I mean, how many times have we come on this podcast and preach, give Josh 20 games? You know what? It took 25.
Yep.
Not 20. Sorry.
And over his last 20, he's shooting that. It was something ridiculous, like 42% from 3 prior to tonight.
Taylor, while we're here, a fun thing, I think the listeners will enjoy this. Given to the biggest Josh Giddey hater on the pod, I'd like you to say 5 good things about Josh before we move on.
5.
This is like
Oh,
therapy.
man.
This is great.
Yeah,
Well,
this is
obviously
like
his 3-point
therapy.
I don't think he can do it.
Shooting has been
I don't
great.
think he
Number
can do
one.
it.
His again, something I talked a lot about over the past 2 post game pods I did over yesterday and then also last week was his decisiveness. He's just been so much more decisive in his playmaking. I think that's huge.
Okay, decisiveness is one.
That kind of like, I mean, playmaking is kind of the same thing, right? I mean, he's had some incredible playmaking, but okay, we'll give him that one.
Okay.
Setting up teammates, doing a much better job in there.
That's the same.
Defense, that's kind of how I feel. And the defense still leaves some to be desired.
That's not a compliment,
That's
dog.
not a
I
nice
know.
thing.
That's my
That
point.
takes
Like,
one away. Now you're back to 1.
I can't get to 5 right now.
That's how you know
the
Taylor's an
things that-
expert in giving
Huge hater.
feedback sandwiches. He gives the,
Huge
the
hater.
good and the bad and the good again.
But he doesn't need to have 5 things to be impactful for this team. That's what we're seeing here, right?
We're just saying, say 5 nice
Now-
things about
Now
the guy.
that's
Oh,
the,
Taylor's like,
Grieve.
well,
He has
you
very
like
nice
the
hair.
EGM of the past second corner of the
Plus minus
What do you
is
guys want me to say?
basically
He
a
has
team
nice
stat.
hair. I'm really proud of him for keeping things together on the court. There's 3. I mean, what else do you want me to say?
has nice hair. There's 4.
Has a
I already
great
said
Kobe
that.
collection.
Nice smile.
Great
Seems to be a little more
positional
engaged.
size.
A little more engaged on and off the or on the court and on the bench. I think that's good.
Yeah, there you go.
Thought you were
No,
asking
that
me for
took a
like
lot.
stats.
Now
Oh,
Jacob's
wait,
gonna
I
say
do have a stat. Rebounds. He's been really great
He
in
has helped a
regards
lot
to
in
his
that
rebounds
department.
here recently.
he has.
So there's an actual NBA stat.
Now Jacob's gonna give 5 things he likes about Rudy Gobert. Kidding.
the first depoy, the second depoy.
And
the
we're
third
2 hours
depoy.
on the podcast. And Taylor hasn't even talked.
There is not 5 redeeming qualities about Rudy Gobert.
See? No, Josh has been awesome. That's why I brought him up last night and hyped him up and wanted your guys' opinion on Josh's game. The other
Good.
thing as well is just like I think the resiliency of this team has stood out to me, especially last night against the Celtics, withstanding an I think it was a 10-0 run after the Thunder were up 18-0, but also tonight as well, as Silva and I both missed that resiliency here in the fourth quarter tonight as we were setting up for the podcast. But the resiliency of this, I mentioned this last night. I've heard second youngest. I've heard the youngest. I think they're just the second youngest team in the NBA. Regardless, it's incredibly impressive and just I think shows the culture that this Thunder team is building and how everybody's bought in. Kind of curious your guys' thoughts, how they responded in that Celtics game last night as well as tonight.
That game showed what a playoff matchup could look like, just a playoff game could look like, because you were seeing adjustments happen like in real time. You saw immediately they put Kristaps on Josh, and it was like, okay, they're going to try and exploit this thing very obviously, like we saw against the Rockets, I think was when that happened earlier, and it was very blunt with putting Şengün on him. Josh made him pay. That was awesome. And they brought in a Cornet. Mark switched to a zone very early on that made the lead get up to double digits with Kenrich at 5. Really small stuff like that happening later in the game. Tatum being put on SGA, which that's a whole thing I keep seeing. Tatum locked up SGA. All right, that was maybe 3 possessions where SGA took a shot or did something, and usually it led to Kristaps helping off, SGA passing it to Chet and getting an open shot. I don't know what. I mean, everything is in extremes now, kind of like what Nick was saying. You're either an all-star or you're not, or you clamped a guy, or
you're a bust, or you are
superstar. Cleared. I don't know.
Hey, if clamping Shai means letting him get 36, 6, and 7, clamp him every night, baby.
Yeah. Speaking of, like, Chet guarded Tatum. I've clamped the hell out of him if we're going to use that same logic. Like, that happened. Later in that game,
I think Jaylen Brown clamped himself.
He did, which, oh boy, Jaylen Brown, that was really tough. The man really cannot. So the whole dribble thing I always thought was kind of like over exaggerated. I don't think it's over exaggerated, guys.
It's bad.
I saw it. It's like that Nekias Duncan video that gets passed around. We see you. We saw it.
You remember that video that was going around preseason of him like just doing a dribbling drill and like losing the ball with his left hand?
And the team tweeted it out. The Celtics are just kind of.
That's almost as bad as sorry, not to get us off topic here, but the Golden State Warriors tweeting 7 Clay stats from back during the Obama administration to get him an all-star bid this year.
7 reasons Klay Thompson should be an all-star.
Yeah,
and not one of them was from this season.
Okay, I'm picking up on your joke.
They
earlier,
did get
Nick.
drug on Twitter though.
Good.
Like the ratio was a little ridiculous.
Was Drew Muse in the comments on that one?
Oh
He was in your comments all day today.
Drew Muse.
God. On the game last night, Silva, talking about the adjustments and whatnot. I talked about this with my dad on the drive home from the game last night. Would I have preferred them to blow open that 20-point lead and just mop the floor with Boston? That would have been badass. I would have loved that. You don't learn much from that. When Boston claws their way back in and you are forced to execute down the stretch against what I think everybody kind of agrees is like maybe the best team in the NBA, top 3 best team in the NBA, a veteran team who's played in the NBA finals before, brought everybody back. That's where you learn stuff, right? You don't learn stuff when you're whooping somebody's ass and your starters are on the bench for the last 5 minutes. Like, that's not a learning opportunity. The learning opportunity is when it's nut up or shut up time and you have to prove we can do this. And that's exactly what they did. And like, those are the experiences that will pay off down the stretch. You mentioned like the Porzingis shading on Shai on the doubles. And Shai gets off the ball and gets Chet 2 threes, which were the difference in the game. Shai willing to be the decoy and screening for Dub to get the game-winning shot or the game-sealing shot there in the lane over Jason Tatum. Seeing those things happen make you more confident that this team is connected, and when the games actually matter in the playoffs, those things are like replicable, right? Even though I wanted the ass whooping, I liked even more the experience they gained from having to execute against Boston down the stretch.
I was going to bring up that play again where Shai was the screener for Dub. He has Jason Tatum on him. Tatum switches onto he could have easily gone and tried to get the shot himself, but Dub drives on Tatum, who switched onto him. He creates separation in the mid-range. He goes left, like we've talked so much about. Jacob, you've talked so much about.
Don't let him go left.
Unstoppable. That was pretty incredible. And then Josh Giddey hitting those clutch free throws.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many of those moments there down the stretch that I think are, like, to your point, Jacob, are just incredibly important for this team moving forward. I don't think tonight's game against the Hawks really, you can compare that much for all the reasons we already have mentioned. But again, they still were resilient and were able to come back tonight.
I'd never say die.
With tired legs. Yeah.
Part of that is also just because the Hawks just kind of crap the bed down the stretch and are not a good defensive team.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Thunder.
it's a
The
very
Thunder
poor
made a
decision.
team. The Thunder made a team, and the Celtics play their ace in saying, and you've seen this throughout history. Put LeBron on Derrick Rose. Put LeBron on X player. Put your big star wing on the guard that's lighting you up on the other side in the playoffs. And it was just cool that the Thunder drew that out of the Celtics,
Yeah.
and were still able to be effective. Like the offense, SGA may not have been generating the points, but he was still, I think, conducting an efficient like offense. And J-Dub and Chet are
0
so
turnovers
ready.
for Shai.
That's huge. Huge.
To go 36, 6, and 7 with 0 turnovers is insane.
Oh.
On like 70% from the floor.
Pretty good.
That boy good.
Good. I think we should probably take a break and then we'll talk some more about this stuff.
Let's do it.
Okay. So the Celtics game is over. There's been quite a lot of fallout from that game. It kind of started before the game, actually. It was very clear that the media cycle was preparing for the Thunder to be, the topic of the week. And Tim McMahon from ESPN was around the team asking questions to Chet specifically earlier in the day that I really liked, just because Chet is so adept at deflecting any question that could lead to any sort of narrative forming. I think he asked something as simple as, what have you proven this year, Chet? And Chet said, not shit, or something along those lines. And it kept going, and the Thunder did. They proved they could beat the Celtics in that night, if you want to get just straight objective about it. But the Thunder are proving time and time again that they're really freaking good. And I don't know if I could have predicted, even in our best case scenario podcast episode, did we get to this?
Maybe we should go back and listen to that. I don't remember what the win total we said was in the best case scenario. But if this hasn't surpassed it, it's close.
Definitely surpassed it. Nobody on this podcast is talking about a 57-1 pace. Nobody.
No, we said like top.
Agreed.
We said like the third, like the three.
We said the home.
seed,
I think we said home court.
Yeah,
I think we
I
said
was thinking-
like top 4.
Yeah, I think I had 46, but maybe I'm giving
I
myself
think
too much credit. Like,
On that podcast, I might have said the 2nd or the 3rd seed. I'll have to go back and listen.
You didn't believe that shit, though.
We were just doing best case
look at that
scenario, Nick.
smile. He's like thinking back on
You
it.
sound like these guys on Twitter. I, before the season, said 55 wins. I'm like, no, shut up.
I'm going to go back and pull the receipts.
Jake was gonna pull it
I think
up.
I said 2nd or 3rd seed. There's people in this chat right now that know this podcast more than I do. So somebody back me up here.
Fair.
somebody knows.
I am really glad as we kind of go through this this topic here of all like the hype surrounding the team after that Celtics win. Kind of glad they lost tonight, because you MFers would be irrational right now. And I think tonight humbled
100%.
you a little bit. So this will be, I think, much more.
No, to
level-headed.
say goodbye, I'm not worried about it.
Exactly. Just wait until Friday's win against the Nets.
You're scheduling 5 Sega Baba losses
Actually,
in January.
Your boy is having after just dominating you all in season predictions. I am struggling this week with an L last
You're
night,
0-2,
a
buddy.
W tonight. I'm 0-2. I got my money ball.
Is
coming up on
JD
Friday.
0-2?
I need that W.
I've had a bad week and a half.
I think Nick's 1-1. I am 1-1 this week.
Yeah,
I'm just really shocked that the most optimistic guy on the pod is winning this competition when the team is blowing expectations out of the water. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Not us.
Because
I'm
smart.
0-2.
I mean, I told you guys this, like that Denver game where they just waxed the Nuggets in Denver. That was like the come to Jesus moment for me. I don't know where this ends. There's definitely a world where they lose in the first round. Like that is very, 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 very possible.
Agreed.
There's a world where they're playing Western Conference Finals basketball in Oklahoma City in June. Like, I don't think, if I had to put a number on it, like, what is more likely? They are having to win 2 games in a play-in tournament to make the playoffs, or they're in the Western Conference Finals? Which one of those two things is more likely right now?
I can't.
Give me the two options again.
I can't be the first one to answer
Option
this.
1 is their Western Conference in the Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
Option 2 is basically at the end of the season, they're the 9 or the 10 seed, needing to win 2 games to make it in.
I want to hear Nick's
Obviously,
answer
pitting
so
injury,
bad.
right? Disclaimer: I always like to throw out there to try and anti-jinx.
Yeah,
it.
Shai's legs are intact. The
Chet
fact that
has
Nick
not
is
been
thinking about
injured
this
by
tells
Lil
me all
Streak.
I need to know.
Nick's about to throw a fastball through our chest.
He's
Like,
trying
this-
to come
this
up with it.
This question in September was like, oh, no shit, it's 9 or 10. Easy.
Mhm.
I think I would go with Western Conference.
Wow.
Only, I mean, it would take. I mean, even if this team goes to 17 game, I guess they got 15 games left. They go 7-8 the rest of the way. There's still several games over 500 with an
You're
easy
talking 7 and 8 the rest of the month?
of the month.
Oh, okay. I was about to ask.
There's still
7 and 8
there's,
would put them at 30 and 15, 30 and 16.
It's impressive.
like, and then you have an easier schedule the rest of the way. You've got the All-Star break post. Like, it would take a. If this team is a 9 or 10 seed, we're probably having some doomsday podcasts because that would be an ugly ass turnaround.
I think the only way it gets there is injury.
Correct.
Feels that way. They're one back from the 1 seed. One game back from the 1 seed.
And we even talked about this recent stretch. Like if they go 4-4, like that seems fair. There's some tough competition. They went 8-1 if you want to include that extra game. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Gives them a little bit of breathing space here in this tough month of January as well as they move forward with, 4 more back-to-backs, I believe.
Yeah.
And a ton of games on the road. Like it's a tough January, but also like next week, almost said tomorrow, next week, Monday night, they're in LA. They have a back-to-back again Tuesday, but they're in the same city, sleeping in the same beds, not traveling. That's a little different than what happened last night and tonight, where they're flying into ATL at like 4 a.m. So
yeah. Just a quick thought experiment. Just real fast. Let's go based off the Western Conference standings right now. If the season were to end today, round 1 would be the number 2 Oklahoma City Thunder versus the number 7 Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah. I personally I feel okay about that.
Mavericks are on my short list of teams that I would be okay with them seeing in the playoffs.
I mainly feel okay with that because of my confidence in Mark. I'm not even saying it's like, obviously I'm terrified of Luka in a playoff series and what he has done in that case.
Damn,
He's so good. He's so good. But I have faith in Mark and the team following whatever plan he sets in place to accomplish that. It's scary playing Luka no matter what.
that's the thing. That's the biggest thing to Nick's reactions. I say I like OKC's depth more than I do think about it. I mean,
I think
OKC's
OKC's style wins out. Like,
That's what I think.
Luka has a bad game, it's done. Like, I feel like the Thunder have more people to help keep the ship afloat.
But it's like, will he have a bad game? Is the thing.
Does
Fair.
it change your opinion if they trade for Pascal Siakam?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
Just
any
for
way.
argument's sake,
I know,
goddammit, let's
I
say
know.
they beat the Dallas Mavericks in round 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Round 2, they would play the winner of the 3-6 matchup, which is
Hell no.
the Nuggets and the Kings.
Oh boy.
No chance.
I
I'd
don't
rather
like that.
this is a stupid take, and it take it with a grain of salt, but I'd almost rather play the Nuggets than the Kings. This team cannot beat the Kings in Sacramento. It does not matter.
I don't know
think
why.
in years.
Series they can do it. It'll be that might be a 7-game series. But honestly, so will Denver. So will
Would you rather see Denver or
Mavericks?
Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Give
Minnesota.
me Minnesota.
Yeah.
Can make Rudy Gobert look like a little boy.
I feel like there's a schematic advantage. That's kind of what I'm relying on in some of these matchups. With them being so young, it's like you said, Jacob, a style of play thing I'm hoping wins out. And I want to play that tall French bastard Rudy Gobert off the court via a schematic advantage.
All right, just because we're in the future right now. 8
Wow.
players, playoff rotation. Who makes the cut?
No trades.
No trades.
Starting 5.
Right. So there's 5.
Isaiah
Is that
Joe.
5, Taylor?
Let me count.
Isaiah Joe, Kenrich Williams.
Kaysen?
Oh, that's where you get. I think I would add Kaysen. I would add Wiggins.
He said 8. That's 9, buddy. I might go Wiggins over Kaysen.
Am I naive for thinking Mark is not going to have an 8-man rotation?
You said Kenrich. Who else did you say?
Kenrich, Isaiah.
Okay, and Isaiah. Gotcha. So then either of Kaysen or Wiggins, and that probably depends on the matchup, which is a cop out.
I think you
or
can throw
a
J
game.
Will based on matchup too, though.
True.
Yeah.
It's a good point. It'll be a mix.
I think if he had to just blind pick 8, it might be Wiggins, just because the experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Wiggins is good, dude.
He's
he's been really
He
good.
is really good. There's a lot of. It's a deep team.
Yeah,
Weirdly.
And
But-
it's interesting, Silva, kind of getting back to the original point here. Other people are starting to notice.
Yeah.
Like lots of people are starting to notice. The national media is really getting on the narrative. Bobby Marks, the one tweet he had about the game last night was, well, who can they trade for that won't disrupt the flow of the team? It's like, brother, they don't got to go trade for a star. Like, can we stop the narrative, please?
Maybe that's why you're not a GM anymore and working for ESPN. But
Who knows?
Yeah. Nets
Just,
trade.
and national people just in general go surface level on 30 teams instead of in depth with one, right? Like not taking any shots. We know way more about this team than Bobby Marks does. Like full stop.
This is true.
But the fact that they're starting to get that recognition now is awesome. I mean, we saw today they're flexing OKC games onto TNT. The
Yep.
good news, they'll be national televised. The bad news, I'm going to show up to the Chesapeake Energy Arena. Goodness.
Paycom
The Paycom Center for a 9 p.m. tip.
against the Houston Rockets. And if
Which
we
is
lose
insane.
that,
Oh, that'll be a
Regardless
bad
of
night.
how-
If I go
well
to
we're
the Paycom
playing.
Center and stay up late to see them lose to Houston, I'm
on
jumping
national
off,
TV.
I'm jumping off the top of the bad boy.
Well, and also, I think to add on to what you were talking about, Jacob, Woj had a segment on ESPN or on NBA Today on ESPN talking about what's next for the Thunder and said a lot of the things that we've been saying on this podcast for a long time. Regardless, I think that just kind of shows you where this Thunder team is. Tonight's game kind of being an outlier.
I'm glad Woj did that because it is kind of a contradiction when someone like Bobby Marks or whoever just recycles the take of, well, who are they going to trade for after they've complimented them for
The
tweets and
ringer.
tweets and tweets or minutes. It's like this
Yeah.
team is already so good. Now let's change it. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like we just need to have some patience and a more nuanced discussion than that, I think.
In his defense and Bobby's defense, it's kind of his job.
Oh
to
yeah.
look
For
at-
sure.
You got to, yeah.
It's a
create
dumb
the
job,
engagement.
though. No, I mean, Silva, I think that's the thing that lots of people miss. They're like, oh, go get Lauri Markkanen right now. Look at the way this team plays, like, and how good they are. You want to disrupt the flow and like put other guys' development on the back burner and go trade 5 firsts. Nick was driving the truck on this one for Lauri Markkanen. If that's the trade, like save the picks and go get somebody else later on.
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed.
I will
Especially you gotta
say
pay men.
so on one hand, I just totally buried Bobby Marks for saying they need to trade for someone. I am personally kind of looking forward to some kind of addition to the team, not anything crazy.
Like a 7th to 9th man.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm almost expecting something. Like if you had to pick, will they do something or will they do nothing? I think I'd probably lean to them doing something.
They have a history of doing something every trade deadline and every draft.
True.
Just the
Yeah.
history and evidence tells us that they will.
To your guys'
So-
point,
You
just
think
get-
about go ahead, Taylor.
no, you're good. Sorry, you froze there again.
No. Just what I was gonna say was you also just like you look at the environment that they're in. If you don't trade Bertans now or before the next fiscal year, so I guess you could trade him at the draft. you miss out on the payoff of like trading the big number for a team to like reduce salary. Poku is going to be a restricted free agent. They never let guys go to RFA. So you think Trey Mann is doing an extension this summer. I don't think any of us project that he's getting the extension with OKC. Maybe you find him a new home. You have all the draft picks. You have traded player exceptions. Like there's tons of tools for them to work with. And a handful of those tools, if they don't work with them, they disappear. And so that leads me to think they're going to do something. Not a Lauri Markkanen trade. More like a Denny Avdija trade.
Damn
he's continuing to
it.
drive the bus there. No, I was just going to say getting a rotation piece to your guys' point, whether it's a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th man, whatever it may be, that has the playoff experience, I think could be beneficial for these young guys. You don't want to take away from their playoff reps. We've talked a lot about that. The Dubs and the Chet specifically, we know what Shai can do. But getting somebody who can come in like a Kelly Olynyk or DFS, like those are the two huge names right now, right?
Genius Schroeder.
Bring back
shit,
Schroeder. Just getting that playoff experience, I think, would be beneficial for these young guys to have somebody on the bench like that to be able to help in those situations and bring them in certain critical moments in the playoffs. But I agree. I don't expect anything huge.
You know, one guy that I was kind of interested in. Am I breaking up again?
No, you're good.
Yeah. One guy that I was kind of interested in that now is not going to get moved, but I thought made a little bit of sense was Precious Achiuwa.
Yeah.
Kind of a younger, big, could like play some backup minutes for you if you needed it. A little bit of a 4/5. Like I thought that one was kind of interesting. Obviously he's in New York now, so that's not going to happen, but something like that. Not a huge needle mover.
Yeah.
I assume that if something does happen, it'll be a name that none of us have discussed.
Nope. Never.
Which is
So,
fun. Looking forward to
Each
it.
of you give us one name so we can say we have discussed it and it takes them off the list.
Damn it. How about Kelly Olynyk?
That's
Yes.
whatever. Okay. Taylor, give a different name.
Oh, man.
Do you want 3 white dudes in the same lineup? Though?
Trying to think of somebody unique. Okay. I had one today. Brainstorming, completely off the wall. It's going to take way too much for it to happen, so it's not going to. But I would love to see this player in OKC. He plays for the Toronto Raptors. Probably not who you guys are thinking of.
Guess it. Give us some hints.
He plays for the Toronto Raptors. That's your hint.
It's not Siakam.
Jesus.
Nope, it's
Scotty
not Siakam.
Barnes.
Yeah, obviously. Trade all the picks for Scotty. Gary Trent Jr. would be so fun on this team. Now, doesn't fit like a need that the Thunder necessarily have right now.
Yeah, that's why I'm out.
But
They don't need another guard. That's an interesting one.
He needs to go somewhere.
Yeah. Nick, you got a name?
This is a washed up guy that
Perfect.
you guys are all gonna hate, but I wonder. This would be really marginal. Thad Young, super old,
Okay.
not really in the rotation
Yeah.
at all in Toronto, but like I don't know, he's kind of a big body. I don't know. Could be
Like a
interesting.
prime Thad Young is
trying to think.
exactly what we need.
I think the issue is like there's not very many sellers
No.
per usual. That's been the case the past couple of seasons, right? Because
Yeah.
we talked about how tight the West is, even how tight the East is in terms of the contenders at the top of the East. Like there's not a lot of sellers selling what everybody wants, a 3-and-D wing or a versatile big.
Maybe that's why all of our ideas are coming from Detroit or Toronto,
Right.
or like maybe Atlanta. I don't know. Where the hell does Kelly Olynyk play? Is he in Utah?
Utah.
He's
He's been playing really
My
well
name-
here during a recent stretch.
My name is Daniel Gafford.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I don't like the way you said that.
Another Washington player.
The Wizards.
Daniel
yeah.
Gafford.
I Thad Young was more of a joke. I did find out that his nickname on Basketball Reference is Thagic Johnson.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
What about a Thunder reunion with
Uh-oh.
a certain Italian forward?
Danilo
Gallinari.
Can he like walk anymore?
That's kind of the
He's
issue. He
playing.
can't defend.
He's played 25 plus games this year.
Who the hell does he play for?
Is that much
Wizards.
different than Bertans, who's on the bench?
Oh, sorry. I didn't follow that train of thought.
You're a wizard, Danilo.
That's the problem, though. Is like all the fringe guys that are on crappy teams are all like the past their prime guys that no one's getting excited for a lot of these names, you know. But at the same time, you got to remember you're trading like Poku before he hits RFA for this guy, or you know, it's a couple second round picks in there, and that's Thunder. There's going to be a certain segment of the Thunder Twitter that freaks out at the deadline when they want them to go all in for Donovan Mitchell or somebody, and they end up with a ninth man that's 34 and just a veteran presence.
Making any trade for a guy that would be the fourth or better player on this team, I think, is a bad plan.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I agree. I've been seeing Claxton a lot, and I don't really like
He
that
doesn't
idea.
fit.
Yeah, style of play, and he's
You're
going
gonna
to
start him
cost
over
quite a
Chet?
bit, I assume.
No.
Right.
No.
Does he want to
As
come
a
off the
backup.
bench? No.
Well, he's
Coming off
about
the bench
to.
in Brooklyn,
He's
though.
about to in Brooklyn. Yep.
That's
For
which is
who?
crazy, right?
Day'Ron
Sharp.
Oh, good for Day'Ron Sharp.
That was a target for 2 years now that we've been talking about on this pod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
It's just like there's not.
Also, can
a
Claxton hit a shot outside of 3 feet?
After watching the game last week, I'm going to say no.
Exactly. He doesn't fit. He's not what they need.
Dorian Finney-Smith?
That's a really popular one. Here's the thing. People like I've heard Dorian Finney-Smith's name so goddamn much. You know who wants Dorian Finney-Smith?
Everybody.
Every team that's going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
True.
You want to trade? It's going to cost you like 3 firsts to go get Dorian Finney-Smith, or like a high quality young guy. How old is he? 31?
Is he really?
To come in and be your.
I think he is.
Yeah, he definitely
If you're a contending
older.
team, be like your 5th best player. No thanks. I'm good.
No, I'd love to have him on this team, not for what it will probably take.
What?
Let's
Like,
see.
What
If
If I'm moving 2+ first,
30,
screw it. I'm
Still.
pushing everything in the table, and I'm
So-
going to get McHale instead.
right?
here's one. This would not be from a traditional like tanking team right now. It's actually from a contender. Once Plumlee comes back for the Clippers, they will have Plumlee, Zubats, and Daniel Tice. They don't need 3 7-footers that can't really move like that. They really picked up Tice because Plumlee is out for so long. Would you give up a couple seconds for one of those guys?
Sure. Why not?
I think Tice is the only one that makes sense as far as like coming off the bench. I don't
They
know.
really have 3 white centers.
3 white 7-footers.
Wow.
Kind of like the Thunder.
Good for them. I mean,
Good for them. That's their favorite thing to say. Good for them.
Good for them.
that
And
one's
that dude
whatever.
put a sock in my mouth tonight. Great for him.
Oh, it was great for him on that one.
Great for him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't think anybody else. I don't want to think anybody else. Someone in the comment section said Jonathan Isaac, so I think it's about time we end the podcast.
Yeah, it's about time we roll the outro music. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Wednesday show. Glad to be back with the fellas. I will be back with, I think, Justin on Friday to talk about the game against the Nets. It's the
Nick
Nets.
Claxton, baby.
Had a guess there.
Yeah, I got to see Nick Claxton again. So pumped for that. I think I locked that one in as a W, which is great.
That was your lock of the week?
Silva and I are
Yeah.
in the same exact boat.
Moneyball.
0-2 with money balls on
Need
Friday.
it. Need redemption.
I'll show you my money balls.
I'm going to try and clip that one out. We will see you all Friday. Thanks again for listening. Go fill out our dang survey. We left it in the comments of this video, and we're going to leave it in the description. Till next time, adios and thunder up.